Welcome to Wish I Wrote It. You guys know I started this show because I long to be in the presence of people who inspire. Tonight is no different. I have the opportunity to be with Phyliss Synclair. Phyllis is a Canadian Folk Music Award nominated singer-songwriter who's been doing this for over 2 decades. I've had the privilege of hearing her record, Ghost Bones, and so she's going to be here with us tonight. Without further ado, I'd like to invite my new friend and soul sister, Phyliss Synclair. Welcome, Phyllis. Come on in.
Hi there. How are you?
Well, you just witnessed me setting a record for a multiple do-overs to get introduced.
There's just so some days are like that, right?
Some days. There's just so much to say about you. What you've been up to musically and as a person is so rich, and I'll let people get to know you during the show, but I'm just so honored and ecstatic that you're here. So my nerves, I think, are showing, but thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you. I'm actually very humbled at your words. They're very kind. Thank you.
Well, you know, it's about this show was started because I kept finding that I would say, oh, I wish I wrote that song. And what I've learned is that it's also about, I wish I got to know that person. So having you here is a rare opportunity, and I just appreciate you coming all the way down from Canada to be with me here in Maine today, virtually on Wish I Wrote It. Would you mind starting us off with one of your wonderful songs?
Absolutely. I'd love to. I'm really big on introductions because I think, you write a song because something happened or something inspired you or something piqued your curiosity or whatever. Well, I come from a little town way up in northern Manitoba on the coast of the Hudson Bay, very close to Nunavut. And at night when I was a little girl, I was raised by my mother and my grandmother. I would go outside and I would lie in the snow on my back and look up at the stars because we had no light pollution. So you could see every star in the sky. And one of my most favorite memories is lying in the snow and watching the northern lights. And the northern lights were just brilliant that far up north. Well, my mother and my grandmother have both passed on. And one of the things that we believe about the northern lights is that the northern lights are actually our ancestors come down to visit us in dance. So there's 2 types of northern lights. One is when the northern lights are very soft and flowing and just quiet in the sky. We call that wawate. And the other one is when the northern lights are brilliant and they're moving across the sky and they're fast and they're breaking off into branches and it's just a spectacular light show. We call that chipayuk. And chipayuk means ghost spirits. So when the northern lights are in Chipayuk, we believe that's our ancestors coming down to visit us and say hello and dance. There's a few Cree words, which is my background. I'm indigenous, I'm Cree, I'm from northern Manitoba. There's a few Cree words that you'll hear. One of them is wawate, northern lights, Chipayuk, which is ghost spirits, ispimik, which means overhead. And then the other one is inimehituchik, which is kind of a long one. It means they're dancing. So this is wawate, inimehituchik. Shimmering lights sweeping down. Lift my eyes to watch the milky heavens dance around. Across the freckled canvas, where stars and green-eyed moon, try as they might, can't hold a lamp to you. Try as they might, tonight can't hold a lamp to you. Your veil of cafe curtains like the snow. Your neon hem becomes 4 rivers winding as they go. Green as a mountain meadow, white as a summer bloom. I stand below your grand display on a nighttime afternoon. stand below your grand display on a midnight afternoon. Wawate ini mehetojek, chipeak ini mehetojek. Wawate ini mehetojek, ispime. It said that you're on earth gone living soul. Come on down to dance a fancy dance and say hello. Wild as a rearing stallion, soft as a flowing mane, I watch you dance over the sky, move away then back again. Watch you dance over the sky, heading back to where you came. Wawate ini mehetojek, chipeak ini mehetojek. Wawate ini mehetojek, ispime.
Gorgeous. So gorgeous. So gorgeous.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. What? So I'm going to try to pronounce this. Wawate a nimi tochek.
Very good. What I always tell people, everything almost rhymes. From E, everything kind of rhymes. Ni, mi, he, tuchek.
Nimi tochek.
Perfect.
Wawate a nimi tochek.
Yes.
That is gorgeous. So gorgeous. Oh my goodness. And that's in the Cree language.
That's in the Cree language, yes.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
Fantastic. This is just wonderful. And so you were born and raised in Manitoba?
I was born way up north. I'm a northerner, true northerner.
And that what's interesting, because I'm in Maine, so people consider me north, but you're even more north. So this is a privilege to know someone else who likes to be way in the cold.
Yes, I know. I admire a lot of time the people that live in the South, especially on cold days, but there's something about the North that is actually very, I don't know, it's kind of romantic in a way. I love the North, so.
I do too. I always think about in the winter, at least in our winters here in Maine, the sunsets and the sunrises are so much more crisp because of the cold. It's so beautiful.
Yes.
And I wish we had I think it's rare for us to see the Northern Lights, but they do occur every now and then for us, but not all get to enjoy.
Yeah.
Beautiful song. Beautiful.
Thank you.
So, tell me a little bit about your journey as an artist, and how did you get started, and tell me more about what it means to you and your mission with your music.
Yeah, well, being Indigenous in Canada, I was raised during the 1960s and 70s when there was quite a bit of, we don't like to talk about it, but it does happen. There was a lot of, racism, and we felt that a lot. And as a little girl, I always thought, that's not right. How come people don't see the beauty in my culture? How come people don't see that my people are funny? And we like to tell stories, and we like to laugh, and, we like to live one day at a time. We try not to worry about tomorrow, and I could not understand why people didn't get it, and why, just because I look the way I look, that I would be any different or needed to be treated any differently. So this always sat on my heart. My grandmother is full-blood Cree, and she just got all the features. I just love my grandma. Great, great, great woman, kind woman, wise woman. And so later on, we moved to the city. And that was even impressed on me even more at that time, because it was difficult to find housing. It was difficult to do all kinds of things as an Indigenous family moving to the city in those days. And as a little girl, I had always enjoyed poetry. And I wrote my first poem, in fact, when we lived in Churchill as a little girl. And somebody introduced me to a guitar when I was 13 in Winnipeg, and I combined the two. I combined my little 3 chords of guitar and my poetry into songwriting. I don't remember a lot of what the songs were back then because I was far too young. You know, you're dreamy at that age, right? Probably some love songs, which is great. But later on in life, you know, it took me a few years to really know what it was that I wanted to write about, because that's a gift in itself. Because a lot of times writers don't know what they're writing about, and although they sound well and they do well, you know, I have a mission. And my mission is to teach people. It's to teach people about my culture, who we are, so that we can come to a place of understanding and relating. So my little motto, I suppose, is, you know, to reveal who we are so that we can renew and we can relate. And that's exactly what my music is about. So to make a long story even longer, my cousin Hannah, who was raised with us up in Churchill, her life took a totally different, you know, pathway than mine did for several reasons. One is she went to find her biological mother, and that didn't turn out very well. So it ended up that Hannah was sort of a quasi street person, I suppose, you know, and but a wonderful person, kind, giving, you name it. Every time I went to Winnipeg, I had to spend time with Hannah. So anyway, my cousin Hannah passed away very suddenly, and she's a few months younger than I don't know, maybe about 25 years ago. And I went to her funeral, and I walked into the Indigenous Center funeral, and I could not believe the number of people that were there to say farewell to my cousin Hannah. And they get up behind the microphone and they start saying, I remember when Hannah did this, and I remember Hannah bought us some food, and I remember when Hannah, the city of Winnipeg was culling the goose population in the parks because they were messing up the parks. And Hannah heard about this, so the city contacted the Indigenous Center and said, we've got all these geese, do you want to hand them out to your elders, because that's part of our traditional food? And Hannah heard about this, so she went down to the Indigenous Center and she got, somebody said 3 geese. I don't know how she did it. She went down, she got 3 geese, and her mission was to deliver these geese to people that she knew were in need. So off she did. She went and did what she was going to do, and she delivered her geese. The funny thing about that, though, and this is my cousin Hannah, is she did not have a vehicle. She only had a bike. So I can imagine Hannah riding down the street in Winnipeg with these geese in hand. I don't know how she did it, but you know, this is one of the stories that I heard. And when I heard that story about my cousin Hannah, it struck home. I said, no, people have to know that we have people in our communities like Hannah. Yes. Because there's so many stereotypes and misconceptions about who we are and why we think the way we think and so on. You know, we have lots of kind, giving, wonderful people, just like everybody else does. And my mission is to tell you about those people.
That is absolutely beautiful. You know, I had an author on the other day, Nancy Johnson James, and she was talking about how she's a teacher as well, and that her mission is to teach the children that our skin all does the same thing. Mm-hmm. Everyone's skin does the same thing. It just looks different, but it does absolutely the same thing. And she it's the diversity in music is so important. Diversity in art, yes, and sharing culture, and that no one should be colorblind. It's not that should never even exist. We should be it's so important to see the differences in people and celebrate them, because Absolutely. It's a great opportunity to just experience a diversity in life and lifestyle. So yes, I love your mission. I love everything you're up to, and I appreciate it so much, because I get to learn and I get to experience your culture through you and with you. So thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Would you like to share another song?
Yeah, let me think now. What song did I think about doing? I think I thought about doing, I think it was The Sail, right?
It was The Sail, yes.
Well, I wrote this song, and it's on Ghost Bones. I wrote this song because we had an incident here in Canada last summer in the month of May where one of the residential schools where many of the indigenous children were sent to as children, taken by the government to go to these schools. But there was a mass grave found at the residential school, and 215 children were buried in this grave. Well, that shocked Canada, because for so many years we were talking about, you know, the injustices done to us here in Canada and the residential schools and how that was wrong, and nobody really wanted to listen. But all of a sudden we have the finding of this site at the residential school in Kamloops, and it blew the lid off of everybody in Canada. And people began to talk about culture, and it really set the stage for people wanting to ask questions and say, you know, why did this happen? And, you know, sorry that these things happened. And it was a eye-opening experience for all of us here in Canada. My city that I live in actually came to me and asked me to help them celebrate our very first, what's called the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation. And I did. And so the sale really talks about, as people, we can relate to each other. We can get along together because we all are nice people. We all are good people. We have to move past our misunderstandings and work together to make our countries, you know, our communities, our municipalities, our towns, better places to live in, where we can all relate and work together to celebrate our cultural backgrounds and our celebrate our differences. So this is the sale. They say that you and I don't work together well. It looks like you and I, we have some rumors to dispel. Different styles and different taste doesn't mean we can't relate. We can make this better if we try. They say this boat is sinking, it's just a matter of time. Split by indecision, leaky alibis. But we can do the fixing if we start believing. Make this tired vessel something more. Oh, I'll be the hammer, you be the nail. I'll be the water, you be the sail. Triple boards to save our lives, work together to make it right. I will be the water, you the sail. Holes and rusty timbers, surrender the shore. Ignore the looming tempest, yes, suffer the storm. But we can stop the drifting if we start believing. Make this tired vessel something more. Oh, I'll be the hammer, you be the nail. I'll be the water, you be the sea. Triple boards to save our lives, work together to make it right. I will be the water, you the sail. Sail on to somewhere new. Sail on, me and you. And I'll be the hammer, you be the nail. I'll be the water, you be the sea. Triple board to save our lives, work together to make it right. I will be the water, won't let this boat go under. No, no, I will be the water, you the sail. You the sail, you the sail.
fun. I love that. I'll be the water, you be the sail. That's so much fun. What a fun
Thank
song.
you.
I could see that. That'd be a fun song to sing with a bunch of children dancing around to that.
It's funny how when I write songs, I often think about that. I wrote a song that's also on Ghost Bones called Oh Land. And when I was writing that one, I said to my husband, I could just hear a choir of kids singing this song. It would be so awesome. So it's funny when you're writing, you get all these ideas in your head. And it's funny, they don't always go the way that you think they will, right?
Yeah,
but
it's so true. That's gorgeous. I love it so much. Hey, Phyllis, would you like to go to your website so we can show people where they can find you? Because it's really important that people like, follow, and share, and that any opportunities to get your music or your merchandise and see you perform live, they can find out information from there. How about we go there and you can just navigate me through?
Sure.
Fantastic. Here we go. And where would you like to start?
Let's start with our About page, I think.
And let's see.
Yeah, and go down to let's say early life.
Early life.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So this is me. This whole page here on early life talks about where I came from and the things that inspired me as a little girl. Where I grew up, there were lots of whales because I'm on the Hudson Bay, and of course the Churchill River, where they come in to have their young. And Churchill is also the most northerly seaport in Canada, so there we had lots of boxcars coming in to ship grain. Comfortable Lines talks about my grandmother and how my grandmother, the lines, I find them so beautiful, and they bring comfort to me, knowing that the wisdom that she shared, I can now have. Skin Off Our Noses, that's talking about the cold and how my grandmother used to make all of our mittens. She used to make our mucklucks, our parkas, and she would put fox fur and wolf fur around the hood so that we wouldn't freeze our noses. So that's what hung out to dry. I think my grandmother and my mother were washerwomen. When my grandmother first moved to Churchill from her reserve in search of work, she took a job as being a washerwoman. And at that time, they had no running water and a wood stove. And so they had to do everything by hand and on the stove. And I wrote a song called Washerwoman's Lament. And in that particular song, it's really talking about how as people that raise us, like our grandmother, their lives can kind of be mundane. They have to do the same chores every day, and it can be very mundane for them. But for us as children watching them, it was an inspiration. I see how my grandmother really worked hard to make sure that we could have a better life. And maybe it was tough on her, but she can look back at us now and be very proud of those days.
Yes.
So that's hung out to dry. Tongue Tied talks about when we moved to the city and how it was difficult to express ourselves as Indigenous people, because really everybody wanted us to take on the dominant culture and become like the dominant culture. Well, you can do that to a certain point, but you'll always be who you are. So tongue-tied is like being reluctant really to express yourself, because you know that life will be easier for you if you just adapt. Right?
Absolutely.
So, and that's when we moved to Winnipeg. What happened when moved to Winnipeg? And if you scroll farther down, I talk about truth and reconciliation and how this journey of my life really led me to where I am, and that my music is really about truth and reconciliation. It's about wanting people to understand and work together. What they always say, without truth, there can be no reconciliation. And that is true. People have to be willing to have open ears and open hearts to hear these things so that they can understand, So
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's that. That's just talking about my grandmother and her wonderful moccasins and how I try to walk in her moccasins. So
this is treasure trove. All of this is just, I cannot wait to, I haven't gotten a chance to read through all of these, but I was just thinking this is, this is really a treasure trove of not only information, but direct experience. This is wonderful.
Yeah, I put it there. I know a lot of artists don't do something like this, but I did because I felt it was really important to understand who I am if you want to understand my music. Get to know me and you'll understand why I write the way I write. And so to me, this was so important.
Absolutely. I mean, honestly, I think that it's so inspiring because that kind of glimpse into your personal, how you were formed in art
Yes.
form, it it informs about the music, but it also informs us about just humanity, another aspect of humanity that is just it really is a treasure trove.
Thank you. We can go into bio maybe and the EPK. That'll be just really brief, I think, because really it just talks about some of the quotes. You see some of the quotes here from some of the shows that I've done from the different presenters across the world. We have played in Australia, we've played in Scotland and parts of the US and of course Canada. The discography is just all the albums that I've put out. And this is one quote from one of the presenters who said, "Her art is her life. You can feel her reality and are uplifted by it through her remarkable songs and voice." And that is my hope, really, without sounding egotistical. We do have a reason why we do what we do. And if people can hear the passion that we have for music through our shows, well, we've done our job.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's just so much here. You've been in several magazines. You're nominated for several awards. And it's just really, this is a wonderful, and it's a delightful read too. A lot of times, it's nice to go and see what's on a website, but it's usually pretty rote, like it can be repetitious. This is so fresh.
Oh, thank you.
Your experiences are really, really wonderful. And you've been all over the world sharing who you are. And that in itself is rare, because a lot of times with artists these days, oftentimes we can get caught into filling out the blank of being who people think, being who people say we should be, or who we think we should be for, the applause, rather than just bringing our true selves to the foreground. So this is wonderful. What else would you like to say?
Let me see. Well, why don't we? So we know about the albums. We know about the shows. I do have some shows coming up, but they're all mostly here in Canada. But if we go to so I'm playing at a high school here in Calgary, which is a city south of us, just in a few weeks. In fact, next week, and I'm going there. I was invited there because June 21st is our National Indigenous Peoples Day. And they wanted me to come and sing to the high school and talk about culture. And that's exactly what I want to do. So I'm excited to go there. And then we have a National Indigenous Peoples Day concert coming up at Legacy Park here in our city. And then they're just folk clubs coming up. So listen, if anybody wants us to come and do the show, we're totally open to it. Please just shoot us an email. In my contact, there is, you can reach me directly. Like as soon as you fill out that little box, it comes directly to my inbox and I'm on my email. It's very seldom that it'll take me more than a day to reply. So if you like what you hear and if my music suits your style, that'd be awesome. I'd love to come and do a show.
Fantastic. And I just want to highlight that there's also lyrics here. So if you want to enjoy I'm a lyrics person. I spent some time here and I love reading lyrics because it's reading like poetry and I don't know, I just love reading lyrics. And so very wisely, you've put your lyrics for each record, and it's very accessible in case, people really want to immerse themselves in the music. There's also lyrics here. So enjoy that as well.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you're enjoying that because, when I'm putting together my website, I always think, is it too much? Like, will people, but once again, I think, if somebody hears a song on the radio and they remember the name and what was she singing about? I do that. And it's nice to go to somebody's website and say, oh, there it is. And that's what they were talking about. Yes. So I think it's just one more way of being able to have a deeper connection with the artist and their music. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that as well. Would you like to, Wish I Wrote It also delves into the people who have inspired us. And you shared that song that you'd like to share with us as your cover pick.
Yeah, let me see. I can't remember what key I do it in. So if I squeak, well, that's why.
Like any key you want, I'm sure.
Well, one of my inspirations, I mean, growing up, my inspirations were the 60s, the Beatles and all those guys. But later on, it became people like James Taylor and all those folkies, Cat Stevens. And then later on, it became people like Nancy Griffith, who is a wonderful, wonderful songwriter. She left us last year, and what a loss. But I like her. I like her songwriting style because it's very storytelling style, which is what I like. And so when I write, I often think about Nancy and how Nancy might express something that I'm trying to express as well. Because when she writes, you can hear, you can see. It's an internal drive-in movie. So this is called "Love at the Five and Dime," if I can remember all the lyrics. Rita was 16 years, hazel eyes and chestnut hair. She made the Woolworth counter shine. Eddie was a sweet romancer and a darn good dancer. They'd waltz the aisles of the Five and Dime. Eddie played the steel guitar. His mama cried 'cause he played in the bars. He kept young Rita out late at night. So they married up in Abilene, lost a child in Tennessee. Oh, but still their love survived. And they'd sing, dance a little closer to me, dance a little closer now, dance a little closer tonight. Dance a little closer to me, 'cause it's closing time and love's on sale tonight at this Five and Dime. One of the boys in Eddie's band, he took a shine to Rita's hand. So Eddie ran off with the bassman's wife. Oh, but he was back by June, singing a different tune, sporting this Rita back by his side. And they sang, dance a little closer to me, dance a little closer now, dance a little closer tonight. Dance a little closer to me, 'cause it's closing time and love's on sale tonight at this Five and Dime. Eddie played with the barroom band till arthritis took his hand. Now he sells insurance on the side. Rita's got a house to keep, dime store novels and love so sweet. They dance to the radio late at night. And they sing, dance a little closer to me, dance a little closer now, dance a little closer tonight. Dance a little closer to me, 'cause it's closing time and love's on sale tonight at this Five and Dime. 'Cause it's closing time and love's on sale tonight at this Five and Dime.
What a wonderful song by the late, great Nancy Griffith, sung by the wonderful Phyllis Synclair. Lovely, lovely. Thank you so much for that. It was perfect. Warm song.
Oh, good.
We talked a little bit earlier about, about our give back, and everything you do is already give back. You're sharing culture, you're educating people, you're entertaining people with truth, and also making it, some difficult things that you're sharing historical things in a palatable way that promotes change. So that's a huge feat, and it's no wonder why you're such a valued artist in Canada, and soon to be more so here in the States. We hope you'll be coming down here to share your great work with us as soon as all this craziness we've been dealing with clears up a little.
Yes. You struck on something that I really appreciate, and that is the word palatable, because, my job is not to hit people on the head and drag them kicking and screaming to know about me and my culture and my people and yours, My job is to open up this beautiful little gem and say, hey, did you know about this? Take a look. And people usually do, because I write in a style and in a way that is engaging and inviting and warm. And in listening, you go, hey, I never thought about that. And so thank you for that. I appreciate you saying that.
Well, it's wonderful. Someone recently told me about an educator by the name of Rudine Sims Bishop, I believe, and she wrote extensively about, I believe it goes windows. I don't want to mess it up. It goes, I think it's windows, side doors, and it's about these different ways we can look into each other. And I'll look for it because I just looked it up the other day, and it was about the way that we can teach each other to look into. There it is. Where we can look into ways to teach each other about ourselves. It's called mirrors, windows, and sliding glass doors, and how mirrors we can look in and see ourselves and each other. Windows we can look through, and then sliding doors are portals for us to share. And I'm not giving it its eloquence, but that's exactly what you do as well. So it's really an honor to have you here. And you mentioned about an organization that we can give a shout out to for Give Back as well. And I want to just highlight it. It's the Indian Residential School Survivors Society, www.irSSS.ca. And we're asking, please donate if you're a mind to. And I'm going to just share with you where you can find their website, just so you can know what they're up to and what they're doing. And there's also crisis support 24/7 there. It's how you can help. And you don't have to be in Canada to give to this as well.
No, absolutely. Yes.
So you want to talk a little bit more about this as well?
Sure. Residential schools happen right across the Americas. It didn't just happen in Canada. It just so happens that the lid kind of blew off on everything last summer here in Canada and kind of started the ball rolling and having people understand what the residential schools did to Indigenous people. So now in Canada and throughout the Americas, children who attended residential school lost a lot of their culture and who they are, how to parent and all those things. And many of them are in crisis and trying to relearn what it is that they lost through being taken to these residential schools. So this particular organization strives to help the survivors get back to a place of strength and knowing who they are again. So it's really important work.
Really, really beautiful. And, I want to just show some photos they have here so that please go and check out what's happening here, because I truly believe that people in general are helpful and good. Sometimes just don't know how to be effective and where they can be most effective. So if you have some extra time, or if you have some extra resources and you want to share that somewhere, please donate to Indian Residential School Survivor Society. I apologize, my puppy is making noise down there. I don't know if you hear or not.
That's okay. It's real life here, right? Real life.
Yeah, it really is. It's like you get, he's he's crazy. So let me just grab him real quick.
Sure.
All right, enough of that. He's sitting in the glass table and he's trying to prepare it to sleep, and he doesn't know it's glass, I guess. Anyways, he's a little bit of a nut.
He's getting comfy.
He's getting comfy. So again, to be the mindfulness and the intentionality about playing it forward is so important. If you have something that you can, and time is valuable. If you don't have the resources, your time is always valuable in helping us build bridges and do some much needed healing in the greater community and inter-communities. So again, www.irSSS.ca is a great opportunity to share your better self. So,
Right.
So excited about that. Phyllis, it's so wonderful to have you here, and I can't wait to interview you again. There's so much more to talk about. You're a sweet, sweet spirit. I know you probably hear that all the time, but you're a treasure and a rarity among anywhere, because what you're doing is very bold and very, they say in my faith tradition, they say, edify with love. And that's the hardest thing to do. People can edify, with all kinds of other ways that are less effective. But when you edify with love, it really takes a champion, a warrior spirit, but in a much higher level of strength to do that.
Yes.
Because, patience, diplomacy, and truth delivered in love takes an extraordinary person, and that is who you are.
Thank you so much. I feel like it's really important for us to have a spiritual connection somewhere, and I like to think that I'm spiritually connected because I believe in the Creator. And I don't know if, here's a little thing, if you've ever seen a teepee, it's got these points at the top that kind of point, and I'll see, I'm trying to do it on something dark so you can see it. Anyway, the top of the teepee is like this, right? And it's often said that represents that everybody is trying to find their way to the Creator, right? Trying to find their way to truth.
Oh, that's
right?
wonderful.
And there's many different pathways. There isn't just one. We all take different pathways to get to the same place, right?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what that represents. But yeah, it's really important to have that connection because, it keeps you humble. And I think humility is really important, because when you're humble, when you try to remain humble, it allows you to open yourself up to hear voices, hear things into your spirit that you don't hear when you're too busy thinking about yourself.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, it's really important to that connection. I think it's so deep. It takes your music to a deeper place when you allow yourself to be connected to a higher power, whatever that higher power might be in your life.
That's beautiful. I recently, someone was sharing with me about the ideas of humility, and they gave me a really, I thought was a gorgeous insight to another way of thinking about humility. It was that when we are fully as we are designed to be in our better selves, humility truly is filling the space that we were called to fill in. And when we don't do that, that's when we're not being our true selves. That's when we're being prideful, and when we're being fully taking the responsibility and being accountable to be fully as we were designed to be of service to our community in the ways that we are designed to be. If you're a gardener, garden. If you're a pilot. If you're a musician, play music. But be accountable to how your giftings to make your community better. That is the true humility, because you're not saying, well, I'm a fish and I want to be a bird. No, you're a fish. Be the best fish you can be. You're a bird. Be the best bird you can be.
Yes.
Honor what you've been given. Honor the gift of life. So it really resonated with me. And I'm still just.
That's a very good analogy. I like that. I'm going to remember that one.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I wish we say everything worthwhile starts and ends with a song. So would you mind sharing another song with us and taking us home?
Sure, I'd love to. The question is, which song do I want to sing? Let me see here. Let me see if I can do. Um, I'm going to do ancestral place, motherland home, flesh of creation, skin of my bones. This is called O Land. And I wrote this song because when I go out to the countryside to just sort of want to get centered, right? Go to the countryside, and I often look at the land, and the land to Indigenous people, it's not that we feel we own the land. We feel like we're caretakers of the land.
Is like that land? Like
Yeah.
that? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
O
great.
land. Yeah. Oh, without the H.
Oh.
But that's okay.
No, I'll fix it. I want to get it right. Thank you so much. You're saying caretakers?
Yeah. We feel that we're caretakers of land. There's lots of legends, and I could tell you some of these legends at our show. But anyway, when I go out to the land, you know, we don't have a homeland. This is our homeland. And when we go look out, I look at the rocks, I look at the trees, I look at the bushes, I look at the flowers, I look at the grass. And I remember that my ancestors have been here for eons, and their DNA is in that land.
Wow.
And so when I go out to the land, I connect with my ancestors when I'm there. So this is called O Land. Ancestral place, motherland home, flesh of creation, skin of my bones, breath of my lungs, heartbeat of my chest, water and blood of those long at rest. In a rush of the four winds, I hear you come near. Without hesitation, you meet with me here. Through path parting grasses, you walk to my side. Open your arms, welcome your child. Oh, land, land of my birth, life-giving land, life-giving work. You run through my veins, help me to stand. Oh, land, land of my birth. In quiet communion, where time has no hold, I lift you my offering, you nourish my soul. Seed of tomorrow, lifeblood from the past, take in the four winds, the gift of my thanks. Oh, land, land of my birth, life-giving land, life-giving work. You run through my veins, help me to stand. Oh, land, land of my birth. Gaginukawiaski. Gistinukawiaski hinike. Gakinaw nichi inenoak. Nina na. Let's manan. Kipamata sa hinan. Nina nan kichuas misakman tu. Ganawena manan. Nanaskman na. Mantu. Oh, land of my birth, life-giving land, life-giving word. You run through my veins, help me to stand. Oh, land of my birth. Oh, land of my birth. Ancestral place, motherland, home, flesh of creation, skin of my bone.
Beautiful, just so beautiful. Phyllis Synclair, everyone.
Thank you.
A treasure in Canada and a treasure here in the States, in the world. Thank you so much. What a delight. I can't wait to interview you again. We are now connected, and I hope that we will stay connected.
Absolutely, yes. I'd be so happy to come to Maine. I'm telling you that right now. I'm not even going to be humble about it.
Oh, good. So Maine, anywhere we are, you're welcome. You're
awesome.
Welcome.
Well, we'll definitely keep in touch for sure.
Beautiful.
So because any place we can take the message to, we're happy to do so. So, and a real pleasure to speak with you, Mehuman, right? It's a beautiful name.
Thank you.
I've never heard that name before. It's
from the book of Esther 1:10 in the Bible, and it means the faithful one, and it's connected to the Feast of Purim.
Okay.
And it has a very old name and an old history. And my full first name is Mary Mehuman, which means bittersweet faith.
Oh, so, okay.
Yeah, so it's a lot to live up to, but
yeah,
I'm very blessed. And I was listening to when you were speaking in Cree during your song. Oh, it was so just prayerful and beautiful and just gorgeous. Thank you so much for sharing even your language with us. Just really spectacular, and I feel very full. Thank you.
You're so welcome. And let me just add to that a little bit, in that I felt it was very important for me to sing some words in Cree, in my language, because our language has been taken away from us here in Canada and across, North America, the indigenous people and so on. And I really want the ear to be attuned, not just in my culture, but in all cultures. Yeah. Hey, that's an indigenous language, and it's ours. And I don't mean ours by mine. I mean ours as people of North America. That's. Yeah. So I really feel it's important to attune the ear to some of these different words and languages that we cherish and have to cherish in North America and around the world. Yeah.
I agree 100,000%. Thank you for that. Absolutely gorgeous. And you guys, hey, this is Wish I Wrote It. And once again, we've had a lovely, fantastic evening with a fantastic artist who inspires. Phyllis Sinclair, you're a treasure. Thank you for being with us, and you take care.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Shimmering lights sweeping down. Lift my eyes to watch the milky heavens dance around. Across the freckled canvas, where stars and green-eyed moon, try as they might, can't hold a lamp to you. Try as they might tonight, can't hold a lamp to you. Your veil of cafe curtains like the snow. Your neon hem becomes four rivers winding as they go. Green as a mountain meadow, white as a summer blue. I stand below your grand display on a nighttime afternoon. Stand below your grand display on a midnight afternoon. Wawate ni mehetojek, chipeaki ni mehetojek. Wawate ni mehetojek, ispeme. It's said that you're on earth gone living soul. Come on down to dance a fancy dance and say hello. Wild as a rearing stallion, soft as a flowing mane, I watch you dance over the sky, move away then back again. Watch you dance over the sky, heading back to where you came. Wawate ni mehetojek, chipeaki ni mehetojek. Wawate ni mehetojek,